Hi, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to go over file management for websites. And this is a really critical step because once you start making websites, you're going to be dealing with multiple pages. You're going to have HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript files, images all over the place, and maybe others. You might have some Flash files too. And you want to be organized, but you also want to be simple. And sometimes those two things can kind of conflict with each other. So although I'm not going to really make a web page in this tutorial, I do really want to make sure you're clear about how you should go about managing your files. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create a new folder, and I'll just call it Website Project. Okay, so let me just go ahead and minimize what I have here. So I now have a folder called Website Project, and you might have a folder called Websites or something like that. Now within this folder is where you would keep all of your website files, and you might have all kinds of files. You could certainly have image files, okay? And let me put out a couple more real quick. I'm going to jump back over to my editor here, and I'll do a file save as. Go to my Website Project folder. Let's say I've got an index.html. Then I'll do a file save as. Maybe I have an other page.html. File save as. Maybe I have a stylesheet.css. Save as. Maybe I have another stylesheet.css. And who knows, maybe I even have a cool script.js. So I end up with quite a few files, and for a beginner web page developer, I might encourage you to keep all of your files in one folder as a group. Okay, it really is going to make your life a little bit easier. So if you want to go the easiest beginner way, all of your files related to your website, and those could be HTML files, style sheet files, JavaScript files, image files, put them all together into one folder. And that makes your life a little bit easier. For instance, if you're going to refer to an image that's in the same folder as your web page, it's simply image source equals image name.jpg, whatever it happens to be, alt text. There you go. So that's pretty easy. When you're doing a hyperlink, it's simply href equals other page.html. Maybe you have a title in there. And of course, make it more realistic. So, inserting an image that is in the same file or same folder as your web page, that's all you do is put in the image file name. To link to another page that's in the same folder, just put in that other web page file name. Makes it a lot easier for you. How would you do a style sheet, by the way? Simple. It'd be a link tag, rel equals style sheet, type equals text/css, href equals stylefile.css. There you go. So all you have to do is put in that file name if everything is in one folder all together. So that's a good way to go for a beginner. Now, if you're still listening to this video, I'm going to tell you the more professional, organized way to keep track of this is to have subfolders for everything. But let me warn you, subfolders will make your work a little bit more complicated, but it will make it more organized. So if you're going to go the subfolder route, here's what you might do. You could have a folder. I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call this images, and I'll create another new folder, and I'm going to call this styles, and I'll create another new folder, and I'm going to call it scripts. Okay? My style sheet files, I have two of them. They're going to go into my styles folder. My image files, I've only got one. It's going to go into my images folder. My JavaScript files are going to go into my scripts folder. So now what I've got is all of my HTML files are together by themselves in the main root folder, but then I have separate folders for each of the other kinds of files that my website is probably going to be using. So I kind of like this technique. It's a bit more professional, but it does make you think a little bit more. For instance, if I go back to my samples here, if I want to link to an image that's in a subfolder, I have to put in images slash, then that image file name .jpg. If I want to go to another page, I can leave that the same because my other page HTML is in the same folder as my current page HTML. And if I want to link to a style sheet, well, I have to reference the styles subfolder. And now you're probably thinking, oh, Ralph, that's not too complicated. I can handle that. Subfolders are the way to go. Well, I am giving you still the most simplest version of using subfolders. It could get a little trickier that I think I'm going to probably not get into in this video. But just imagine for a moment that you had subfolders within subfolders. Okay? Yeah, maybe you do. What if you had an images folder, and within that you had a employees folder, all the photos of your employees? Well, then you would do the images folder slash employees folder slash, and then the image in question. And still you might be thinking, well, that's not so bad. I can kind of handle that. That's cool, and that isn't so bad. But sometimes, and this is the part I'm not going to get into for this tutorial, is that what if you're on a web page that's in a subfolder and you want to refer to an image that's in a parent folder? So you need to go up a level. Now you can do that. Some of you might say that's easy. Some of you might think it's weird. But yeah, so you can go downward into folders and you can go upward into folders. So my advice is, for the beginner web developer, keep all of your files, and that's kind of weird. That just popped over there. Let's stick that back in scripts. I don't know why that's over there. Must have a poltergeist going on here. Let me just delete that. Okay, so my first beginner advice is keep all of your files in one folder together. And then if you really want to step it up, then start to make organized subfolders for the kinds of files that you're going to be working with. Okay? And then you can kind of refer to those subfolders whenever you need those particular files. But definitely keep all of your files together, because keep in mind, all of my files right now are in my website project folder. I'm not referring to like my images folder or anything like that. All of the files related to my website are really all grouped together.